Welcome to the Heart-Led Business Show, where compassion meets commerce and leaders lead with love. Join your host, Tom Jacobs, as he delves into the insightful conversations with visionary business leaders who defy the status quo, putting humanity first and profit second. From heartfelt strategies to inspiring stories, this podcast is your compass in the world of conscious capitalism. So buckle up and let your heart guide your business journey.
Well, ladies and gents, tie those laces tight. We're racing into a rocky terrain of resilience with Tyler Nehila. He's battled bipolar, ADHD, and anxiety like a Spartacus in a Spartan race. Laughing in Lycra at life's hurdles, now he's conquering in couture with his apparel company, Conquered Apparel, a true testament to tenacity. Tyler shows all who tussle with their psyche that it's not just a curse, but a superpower. Get ready for an uplifting gabfest on this episode of the Heart-Led Business Show. It's time to trot on a trailblazing trip. Hey, Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Honored to be here.
Awesome. So glad you are here as well. The focus of the business is promoting good mental health or promoting the ability for men to speak about mental health. And you just happen to sell apparel as well, which is like most people will be like, well, you're an apparel company. And then you're into that idea. And then you're always an apparel company. There's limited flexibility that you can have with that. So tell us your story and what precipitated you starting the movement.
Sure. Where to start? So I was diagnosed with bipolar very early on in my life. Was an okay student, but was definitely like in and out of the principals, kind of misbehaved. Was like a problem child. Like I was kicked out of 3 preschools for not behaving and stuff like that. So early on I had like the thoughts that were coming in were not positive, just from like situations that I was in, whether it was like doing bad at school or the preschool thing or whatever. And then I never felt like I really fit in. I always felt like I was different a little bit, whether that was just different socially or feeling like I was meant for more since I was a little kid. And got into high school, was not a great student, went through multiple depressions while I was in high school, trying to figure myself out, dealing with bipolar depression. Then got out of high school, went to college for construction, and it wasn't my thing, and I actually failed out and then tried to get in 3 times by taking like a math class at a community college, and I was like, this is just not for me. So I started working construction, went through one of the biggest depressions that I've gone through my whole life when I was like 22. I'm 29 now, and that kind of like set in motion where I'm at today. I started reading books, I started doing breath work, I started doing anything that I could get my hands on that could potentially pull me out of what I was dealing with or prepare me for this to happen again in the future and make me strong enough to where I would be able to face it. So I really started working out. I read up on David Goggins, and I connected with him really well, and his story about how he was kind of like a problem child dealing with a bunch of stuff when he was young, and he started doing all these really hard fitness challenges. So I picked up like Spartan races, and I was like, let's do the hardest one for my first try, and then also add like 10 pounds of weight and do a 7-hour Spartan race, and like it was just craziness. And so I just tried to like really strengthen my mind. And it's been a process. It's been a lot of growth. And I've become somebody that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I've become somebody that like people look up to and come to for information and are inspired by. And for me, it's like I'm just doing normal stuff that I think should be done. But so I went through this journey of growth through the past couple of years, and then kind of got tired with construction. And then, like I said, I realized there was something missing with like the mental health community, and that's when I started the apparel company. And so far, it's been going great. It's been healing for me, which is awesome. And I just recently added on the one-on-one coaching thing, and I got 5 clients so far that I'm coaching weekly, doing one-on-one coaching calls. And it's really cool to see that. It's weird that, so I read a lot of books, and I know all this information about growth and becoming a better version of yourself and I just feel like it's common knowledge. There's a good amount of people who are on the same path as me, but not everybody knows what I know, even though I think that. So sharing stuff that I was taught and these mindset shifts and the keys to resiliency and seeing people respond to them in such a positive way is almost life changing for me. Like, it's really cool to see that like I'm affecting people in such a positive light. And so yeah, that's the coaching company that I just added, and that's kind of where we're at now. It's been a journey, and this is something that I've said to people a lot, and they kind of like their eyes kind of go in the back of their head, but I don't regret the suffering at all, even though it was like years of suffering and a lot. Like, that's like when you're pushed into a corner, when you're pushed so you can't like when all the boats are burned and you're stuck on an island, like you got to figure your shit out, excuse me, but like it's up to you. And so like I was pushed into a corner and I was forced to figure it out. So I don't regret the suffering at all. I wouldn't take it back for anything. It's made me who I am today, and it's made me better. So yeah, that's my journey.
Oh, that's so amazing, and congrats on figuring it out and continuing to work on yourself, and obviously helping other people do the same thing. And I think that goes back to what your definition of a heart-led business is as well, in terms of finding that need in the community and then fulfilling that need and helping the people first before thinking about the profits. 100%. Now, when you started the apparel company, 100%. Was it more kind of therapy for you, or were you looking to make a good amount of profit doing it, or what was the thought process behind it?
I keep seeing videos on social media and stuff that like everyone nowadays is lonely and everybody wants community and a tribe and stuff like that, and especially men need to be with other men to grow nowadays. I can only speak from what I've seen, but men are lost. There's not like, I don't know if masculinity is the right word, but it just seems like what I'm seeing is things are kind of falling off and men are lost a little bit. I guess that's the best way to put it. So I wanted to create a community. Yeah, I do want to make money, like that is a goal, but I think in one of these books I read it's called The Catalyst. I forget who it's by, but it talks about how when you lead with trying to change someone's life or change a customer's life and improve their life without expectation, like the money follows. So I really wasn't too worried about the money. I kind of just wanted to impact people's lives and create something bigger than myself that I needed when I was younger. Because there wasn't a lot of like mentors and coaching around me. Like it was me trying to figure stuff out and YouTube videos. So that's why I started the coaching company as well. But yeah, it's really just like to bring people together and to have connections with people and information and inspiration, and to feel belonging and cared for, which is something that I wish I had when I was going through it at a younger age. And I believe that'll help people immensely.
Yeah, for sure. And the title of the book is The Catalyst, How to Change Anyone's Mind by Jonah. Is that correct?
I think that's one of them.
We can link that up in the show notes as well. So if that is actually the book. So community comes first, and then the apparel company is to support that community, get the message out, which I think is, again, a lot of people will think, well, that's kind of ass backwards in terms of, create the company and then the movement, but create the movement and then the company will follow. And, it seems to be working really well for you. Do you have any, I know that I'm putting you kind of on the spot here, but any samples of like what the sayings on the shirts are, or what the apparel looks like, other than like your logo behind you is completely like, I love that.
The book is actually called The Go-Giver.
Oh, the Berg, Mr. Berg.
Bob Berg and John David Mann.
Yeah, one of the best books.
Yeah, it's a great book. So I don't know if you could see. Yeah, I have this one. I'm big on proving yourself, believing yourself, and proving yourself right, and not listening to the doubts of other people. And then this one is one of our latest ones that's doing pretty well, at Peace and Chaos, to kind of like embrace what you're going through and like stay the course.
Yeah, those are great messages too, by the way, and I can see why they're resonating with a lot of people. And so going back to the community, like how long has the community been alive and the
so right now I have a Facebook, and that started probably March of last year. So I'm I'm slowly growing and tinkering at that aspect, but it's been going good. I'm learning that the more I share about my story versus like sharing motivational quotes or stuff, the more people engage, and it's something that's growing and becoming bigger, and I'm getting more engagement, and people are liking the group. And I'm thinking about maybe doing like a Discord, because I know Facebook is not something that a lot of younger people necessarily are on. I think it's more TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And social media isn't all that great for mental
Hmm.
health either. So you want to try to
Yeah,
keep people
yeah.
off of that
Hmm.
as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a great way of spreading the message,
Hmm.
as I'm sure you've seen. Yeah, we can, if you
Hmm.
send that Facebook group over, we can link that up
Sure.
into the show notes and let the listeners, you
Cool.
know, look at that and see if it might resonate
Of
with them
course.
as well. Get more people, really talking about mental health. And we're recording this in July, but June was Men's
Mhm.
Mental Health Month. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
yeah, that's
Like,
correct. Was talking about it, which is great, but I just feel like it's one of those things where people don't think about it. Like it's not like it's Christmas time. I'm so excited for like the first 2 months before Christmas, and then that kind of thing. It's kind of like it still feels like something that's shoved under the rug a little bit, but that's okay. I think people are starting to wake up and realize things. But yeah.
yeah, it only
Hmm.
gets 1 month, right? But mental health is
Hmm.
with us all day,
Yeah.
every year. And we really need to be taking care
Yeah.
of, not only taking care of ourselves, but we need to be taking care of our fellow humans as well. And I think that's the beautiful thing about the message that you're putting out there, and the community that you're creating is literally putting people first and helping them, which in turn will help your business. And just like the book that you mentioned earlier, The Go Giver by Bob Berg, it's that whole give first, and it will come back to you 10 times, 20 times, multiple
Hmm.
times coming back. But
Hmm.
it's a longer stretch though, right? Like if you were thinking, hey, I just want to create an apparel company, I'm going to put some cool slogans on a t-shirt, and I'm going to put that up on Amazon, I'm going to make a bunch of money doing it. Do you think it would be as successful as what you've
Nope.
created now?
That's a problem I see. They have cool apparel, but it's like there's no substance, there's no message behind it, there's no story. One thing that I learned just in the past year is that people buy from people they like. So if, say for me, like I'm kind of the face of the brand right now, just because my story is part of the brand. I think brands that have some type of come up story, or brands that have a real message. It's not just apparel. It's the movement behind it. Do a lot better than brands that are just like, here, buy my apparel. It says don't quit. It just says that, and that's the whole thing. Like, what's the substance behind it? And that's like, the whole thing. There has to be a meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Mm.
Like just do it. Major
Mm.
apparel brand that definitely makes
Yeah.
tons of money as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
story is so important, and that's part of like my sales coaching, and that I work with people on, is developing that story so that it resonates with people, because our minds love a good story. Like we could tell people facts and figures all day long, they will forget that, but the moment that you tell them a good story that moves them, they'll never forget that story, and they won't forget the brand either. So I think that's a really important point that you brought up, is that story is so important when building any brand, and especially a passion business as well. That story is going to keep that business going a lot longer than if there
Hmm.
wasn't a story.
Yeah.
How
Yeah. 100% agree.
how difficult was it for you to start talking about the mental health challenge?
I started making Instagram videos when I started the apparel company, and kind of took up the role as an influencer. And it wasn't one of my favorite things, and it still isn't. I think nowadays everybody's trying to be an influencer, and I wish it wasn't part of business, but that's okay. It's part of the job, and it's part of getting my message out there. But when I first started, my videos were really bad. I was so self-conscious behind the camera, and I was holding back on things. Like I wasn't sharing everything. And I had a call with one of my coaches, and he was asking me about what was going on with me and like everything, and I mentioned something, and he's like, "Well, are you sharing that on social media?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Well, why not? You're not being authentic. Like, you want to help people. If you share more, you might connect with more people. More people will understand you and more people will appreciate you. So divulge everything and don't have any expectations. Don't be afraid of if people are going to judge you, because people are going to judge you no matter what. So just share your story. Your people will come. People will resonate with it and go from there. And I kind of was just like, all right, like, let's do it. And I just told my story, and I mean, nothing bad really happened. Like, I was afraid of something bad happening or judgment or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great message for people, that, don't hold back your full self if you want to help other people. Is important, very important for any brand or any business as well. So did you see a noticeable shift in the engagement, in maybe followers and things like that, from before being completely transparent?
Oh,
after?
yeah, 100%. Selfie videos or videos where you kind of just are raw and it's obvious that it's not scripted. Like, I do a lot of videos where I have like a scripted subject to talk about, and I'm where I am now, and it's kind of like a podcast set up with a table and everything, and it just looks scripted and not real. But if I'm in my car, I have my phone on like a mount and I just record a video from the heart, like, that really has become popular on social media. And that really is what's the best way to go about it, and becoming authentic and getting the most engagement. Like, people want to see real. Like, vlogging is something that's coming back really strong because it's authentic. It's not like a scripted video. So I've definitely seen a huge change in all of those things. It's all gotten better the more open I'd be.
Yeah, and nothing bad happened to you, so you're still alive. Tiger didn't come after you. Yeah, it's so interesting how we make things, mountains out of molehills, as my mom always told me. It's like the little, but they're big to us, but we don't understand necessarily how that might affect or impact other people. And I think the tide is shifting in terms of we need to share more about our personalities, even in a business setting. I think it's important. So, Tyler, how can people learn more about Conquered Apparel and you and the coaching that you do?
So I have TikTok, Facebook.
Awesome. Well, we'll link all that down in the show notes. So if anybody's interested in connecting with Tyler and learning more about Conquered Apparel and the work that he's doing, definitely encourage you to do that as well. And Tyler, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story and sharing your business with us and the great work that you're doing. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Of course. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been an honor. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, listeners, and those who are watching the show on YouTube. We really do appreciate it. Make sure you are checking out what Tyler is doing and all that. And we provided all of those links into the show notes as well. So go ahead and check that out. Connect with Tyler. And I know our guests really enjoy when listeners are connecting with them on social media and other places. So make sure you do that. The other thing that I would love for you to do is to give the show a rating and review, because that helps spread the word about what we're talking about, being heart-led businesses. And who doesn't want to learn more about that and helping other people get their heart-led business straightened out and take that advice that we had today and apply it to their own business. So please give the show a rating and review. And until next time, lead with your heart.
You've been listening to the Heart-Led Business Show, hosted by Tom Jacobs. Join us next time for another inspiring journey into the heart of business.